Not even that big.
Looks bigger.
We got one! This is not a red. Okay. That's a bullhead. Bullheads. Those are not red.
Tell me a bit about invasive species and disease and how they affect freshwater fishes?
Yes, sure. So they affect a third of the species according to the IUCN species, genetic diversity than the natural populations. One of them is linked to climate change, so that includes things like rising sea levels, shifting temperatures, but there are also lots of other threats that are compounded by climate change. So the other key threats to freshwater fishes would be pollution, dams and water extraction, invasive alien species and overfishing.
The perch rockfish.
One of the impacts that climate change has on rivers or in the environment as a whole is raising temperatures. And I think often we think of that to do with air temperature, but it's also true that it's changing the temperature of water bodies, be those freshwater or marine. The Atlantic salmon is a key example of where rising water temperature is thought to be a threat to the species, because it reduces the it can reduce the viability of the young, of the eggs, and of the young salmon, which means that their survival rates aren't as strong. So, for example, you might get agricultural pollutants that come into the water and they change the level of nutrients, which can cause things like eutrophication, and we get blooms of algae, for example. Others can be you might get sediment. Others might be you could get sediment running off the land, which could cloud the water or just bung up the water stream as such. And then there are other pollutants that you might get more associated with chemicals, so it could be pesticides or herbicides, or it could be industrial effluents, so related to mining, for example.
So the latest update is not all about bad news. There are also some good news stories that show that if we do things right, conservation can succeed and we can make a difference and bring species back and turn them around from extinction. Scimitar horned oryx. So this is a large antelope species that used to occur in North Africa very widely in the Sahel region, but by the late 1990s it was exterminated. Last year over 200 juveniles were born. So it's looking very positive for the success of that species. So it was listed as extinct in the wild. It's now listed as endangered. An even better success story is one from Central Asia. This is the saiga antelope, so another species of antelope, which has a wide range going from Russia through Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. It's a species that has been heavily impacted in the past by poaching once again, and numbers reduced dramatically. It's also a species that's very vulnerable to impacts of disease, which are often linked to climate change. As of 2022, there were 1.3 million individuals in the wild, and probably this year it's over 2 million.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download MetroTV Extend sekarang.